Hey friends, welcome back to Opimation, and for those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Opie. I'm an animator in the video games industry. And in this video, I just wanted to share a video from my course, which was just explaining the 12 principles of animation. So I hope you enjoy. I will be updating the course. I'm going through it at the moment. I'm updating it on 4K at the moment. You will notice that it was done last year, so I might look a bit different and the audio might be a bit low, but I'll filter that out, so I'll try and make it as best as possible. So I hope you enjoyed this video and just my take on the principles of animation and examples that I've used, and I hope that will make things a bit clearer for you as well. So enjoy the video. Welcome folks, hope you're enjoying the course so far. I just wanted to go over the principles of animation very briefly, but I will go into more depth as we do the courses. So I've set up a little slide here. I'll go through it with you, and we'll explain each and every principle with some examples. And I always thought it's good to show examples through pictures. I just think that's worked well for me. When I see it, then I do it. So let's dive straight in. Let's do it. So the principles of animation, there's about 12 principles. So what we have is number 1, the principle of squash and stretch. Now, if you look at the examples here, what do we mean by squash and stretch? Firstly, when you first think of squash and stretch, I used to think, it's just squashing and stretching, like rubbery and all that. But it can go, the concept of squash and stretch can go way beyond that as well. Like, for example, like here we got the bouncing ball. So the ball bounces here. And then if I just get this right into that, so the ball bounces. So here's the ball. And then as it bounces, you can see it stretches. And then when it lands, it squashes. And then as it comes up, it stretches again. So this is one form of squash and stretch. And if you look at this character here, this character is more like an overall shape. So if you look at his overall shape, sorry, rubbish here, this pen, sorry. But if you look at his overall shape, as he's coming down, his anticipation in the green is the squash. And when he gets up, slight stretch, then he comes back to his normal form here. And then as he lands, there's a stretch. So these are typical examples that you use in animation. And when it comes to like facial, you have like a squat. This is an example of a stretch, a squash, and then a settle. Here you have a stretch, line of action here, and then this is a squash. So in animation, you also think in shapes. So one of my mentors used to say to me, think of the overall body as a shape. So when a character is jumping, when it's coming down, it's doing this. So when it's coming down, it's let's quickly do an example here. Actually, I'll do it on the screen. So when it's coming down, it could be like an overall shape of a body could be a circle. And then when it's jumping up, it could be a rectangle. And then when it gets to the top, it could be a circle. And then when it comes down, it can be a rectangle then. And when it lands, it's a squash circle. And then it opens up. So in animation, that's what it is. You're showing the contrast of a squash of the whole body. Not necessarily like squashing it, but like the shapes. And that contrast is what's going to make your animation stand out from the different poses, the changes. So here as well, you see you got stretch here and squash. Not like squashing, like for example, we're at work at the moment, we have a chest control, which has a squash on it, and it squashes the torso so it can breathe. So that's another form of squash. But here, this is a perfect example here. Because squash, as you can say, this guy says it very well. He says, this action gives the illusion of weight and volume. It's one of the most important elements you will require to animate. And you do use that quite often, for breathing. And when you land, when you create that settle. Now, here's a perfect example. You've got a circle here. And this is an example of how a circle is. This is how the stretch is. And this is how the squash is for each one. So you got normal, stretch, squash. So these are the examples that you can apply to either the face or the overall body. So moving on to the next one, or if I can get this done. anticipation, right? So anticipation is when your character is thinking about getting ready to do an action, so that the audience knows. It gives the audience enough time to think, all right, what's the character gonna do next? And these are perfect examples of anticipation. Very simple, we don't have to complicate everything. I'm trying to keep this really simple, because in animation, when I first started, I overcomplicated everything. I did too much with too little time. When it comes to like projects at universities and stuff, I took on too much. And now I'm realized from teaching I teach at Liverpool Uni while I'm working, and I tell the students the same thing, just try to pick something that's minimal and just create quality with it. So same here, like this is like an anticipation. So here you can see the wind up, so that's the anticipation. So okay, this guy's going to do something, which is what anticipation is. It's like, all right, this guy's thinking something, he's going to do something, let's get ready. And then this is the anticipation here for the baseball and the throw, and a classic one here as well. And you can see this lovely line of action here too, goes all the way up like this, which we'll talk about more. Staging is the third principle. These are not in order. These are just the way I've put them. But staging can refer to another principle, which is called solid posing, which we'll come on to later. But as you can see, this is like a silhouette, clear silhouette. Staging can also mean like focal point. Like if you look at the Star Wars clip here, the focal point, you're looking straight at that character. So in your scene, you will find a character that you will be looking straight at. And then here, this is a massive wind up. See this big wind up? This actually comes under anticipation. So I don't know what that's doing there, but we can still, I guess it's still staging, because look, it's clear. The poses are all clear, but this is more related to the staging, what I'm doing. So vary spacing, yeah? So when you look at the camera here, if you look at this camera, and then you can see how the negative shapes and the characters and the negative shapes here are all clear. There's space in between each character, the line of actions of the characters as well, you can see that. So it shows to the audience very clearly what he's feeling, like he feels already down, and these guys are like just folding his arms, doesn't really matter. The body language, isn't it? It's showing everything there. So it's a nice, clear scene, keeping your scene clear. And here as well, speaking of clear, if you look at this, if you're presenting the rabbit in the hat, this is so much clearer, isn't it? This here, let's go back to his red one. Look how clear that is. You know exactly what he's doing. It's so clear, the negative shapes. When we talk about a negative shape, we're talking about this white shape inside. That's negative, and the shape outside is positive, which creates a great silhouette. Whereas this, which is towards the camera, you don't know what's going on, right? You just see the pose, but you don't know he's not pulling out the rabbit enough, you don't see anything. Same here as well. You can see he's either like talking to the mic or having an ice cream, but it's clear. And this is so not clear, So that's one way. The staging silhouettes is so important in animation, and we'll talk about that more as we do the course. Straight ahead. Okay, so straight ahead action and pose to pose action. So there's two ways of animating, but there's straight ahead, pose to pose, but there's a third way, which is a hybrid, which is a bit of both. So straight ahead is you're basically animating all the way, like on the timeline. The character's gonna walk here, gonna come all the way down, pick up this pen, put it here, and then he's gonna go like this, look around, and you're animating that all like every like 2-3 frames each pose, yeah, straight ahead. Now pose to pose, I'll just go on here. Pose to pose. So let's see here. So this is pose to pose here at the bottom. Actually, let's start again with straight ahead. This is straight ahead. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is all straight ahead animation, because you're doing every pose going straight ahead. So if you look here, this is like key pose 1, key pose 2, 3, 4. That's all pose to pose. I'm going to do this pose, then I'm going to do this pose and that pose, and then you come back in between and you put down the breakdowns. The breakdown poses are the poses in between these poses. Yeah. So the breakdown poses are like in between here, which really they say that's what makes the animation, the breakdown poses. And here as well, pose to pose. This is also a walk cycle, which we will be doing later on. We'll be doing this walk cycle, which is all pose to pose as well. If you look at this, each, like, you got your contact, your step, passing, you know, mid pose, passing pose, yeah, and then back to normal. So straight ahead and pose to pose. I normally work with both. You know, I animate every 4 frames and key in and everything, and then I move the keys, and I just try and work the timing like that, which I will talk about in the next video. We will be doing the bouncing balls, so I'll explain everything about that. Follow through and overlap action. So follow through is the action that follows the main action. It is the opposite of anticipation. Yeah. So this could be, I'll just talk about this point. So when a baseball bat, as we just saw, hits the baseball, it does not stop abruptly. The boxer also goes on after it and then comes back, you know, just to settle. So that's a follow through. A good example of that action and movement is the animal's tail. So you can't see that there, sorry. I can move, can I move this? Yeah, I can move it. Whee. There you go. Animal's tail, yeah? Okay. So these are perfect examples there. So if you look at this, so his main action at the top here is, let's check it out here. Let's get this pen out. His main action is running, yeah? But then look, when he stops, his cloak still goes forward and then it settles. Same thing with here, with the lady's moving her head. The head goes back. So the head comes forward and she's moving her head back, but this is still going forward. She's moving back, but this is still going, it's dragging. And then when she's settled, then the hair comes down. So it's after the main action. That's all it is. It's very simple. Yeah? And here as well, the cloak. This is another cloak example. He lands, he's landed already, but the cloak is still catching up. As he gets up, the cloak is still catching up here. And then he's already settled. The face, this is the same. He's moving, he's already looking. He's already in that space where he's looking. So he's still looking, but the cheeks are following and then settle. So this is a great example here. Breaking the action, actually this is breaking the joints. So this is another one, but this is, you could use that as a, yeah, you can, because look, this is breaking. And then this is following, this is coming down. So you're breaking the joints. This will come down. This is still dragging. And then it comes down, yeah? So it's like kind of a wave action, wave like that, yeah? So as you do that, the elbow's coming down, and then the wrist, and then the hand. And here as well, it's a classic example of the rabbit ears here, you know? He's coming down as he's jumping. As he's coming down, these are following, see? So he's landed, they're still following. He's landed, they're still following, and then it's settling. So that's overlapping action. Overlapping action adds a lot of life to your character, you know? It makes things, in animation, you're trying to break everything up, you know? You don't do a pose here and a pose here and then that's it, you know? It's all robotic, you know? It's like your hips, and I have a detailed lecture on hips and how the bouncing ball and hips are all linked. But we'll talk about that as well later on. I'm just going through the principles now, but we'll get into more depth. But basically it all drives from here. So the hips comes first and then everything else follows, yeah? So it's like the center of gravity is here in the hips and then it follows through. And we'll talk about that as the slow ins and slow outs, yeah? Number 6. So slow ins and slow outs, as you can see here. If you come here, as the action starts, you may have more drawings at the, so this is more to do with, if you've got a pose and you want to favor that pose more, you want to hold it more, so you'll have more drawings at the start, right? And then as you can see here, slow ins here, he's got this main drawing here. Oops, sorry, let's go back there, going ahead of our time. All right, here, so say here, frame 1. Then he's got another drawing here, another drawing there, another drawing, and see how it's easing out? It's getting faster. So the action's getting faster, and then he's slowing down. So that means you're holding this pose, and then you're holding this pose. That's what it means. It's just the timing. So the slow in, slow outs are like easing in to action and then easing out instead of being abrupt, you know? Because in CG, if you just stop, it doesn't look good, you know? So we always have to have this, what's known as the moving hold. So if you're making a point, you're going, yeah, and then you kind of just keep moving to keep the character alive. So these are what these slow in and slow outs are. And the main thing about these slow in and slow outs are the basically what poses you're favoring. Like, for example, this is a good example of the baseball bat. He's got more drawings here because he wants to hold on to that pose. So your slow in will be more. So you'll be like, ooh, and then maybe one frame, and then you hold that as well. And I'll show you examples of that in Maya when we do it. But that's more or less the ins and outs of slow in and slow out, you know, where you're going easing in and easing out is exactly what it means, what it's saying. Same thing with the pendulum. So in a nutshell, that's what you're really trying to understand, the slow in and slow outs, what poses you're favoring going in and coming out. All right, so the next principle is arcs. So arcs are really important as well. So when we're moving around talking as humans, we normally do stuff very organically. So if I'm chatting to you like this, but then, you know, you have arcs, you know, like in bouncing ball, you have an arc like this. So I'll show you, actually, I'll give you an example because this might be worth showing you. So if you go here to Maya, and you know what, you guys do it with me. So if you get a sphere, so you've got a sphere here, and you just put it here. And let's go to, let me just put this here, yeah, so it's up here. So if we go to, we key this, just quickly key this, and I'll key this here, yeah. If I go to my graph editor, right here, I'm going to show you what I do as well, so you know, you know, if you see it, it's more easy, isn't it? Then you know. What I'll do is I'll just copy this key here as well by middle clicking the mouse button. So say we've got like a bounce happening here. So it's going, yeah, there's a little bounce. And then you want to move it forward. So say if you move it here. So let's play this. Okay, let's go back here. Let's get rid of this so it's moving forward. Make that into linear. That one, that's it. So we've got a rough animation where it's just moving forward, yeah? Now what we're doing is we want to check the arcs. So if we just put this on 26. So if we go to modeling, animation, sorry, you can come here to visualize and go to create edible curve, yeah? And we'll be using this a lot in the course. And it just shows you. So if you look at this, you can see the arc of the ball. So you can track it, yeah? That's what the arcs, that's what we're trying to do. And then you can relate this to everything. You can relate it to the wrist. The arc doesn't have to be like this. The arc could be like all over the place, like, you know, but as long as you've got nice clean arcs, your animation will look more fluid. And that's what it is. That's what, let's go back to here. That's what it is. So if you look at here, it's a perfect example here you have. Oh, where's it gone? Let me just put this one back here, yeah? So if you check this out, look at that, that's perfect. You go from the wrist, or you can do the finger, but I normally go from the wrist, and you can see it's a nice arc, yeah? This is more robotic, so it's going linear, which is, you know, if you're doing a robot, if you're animating a robot, fair enough, you know? This is, again, this is a example that I was talking about, the robot. But mostly cartoony humans, we all do arcs and stuff, and arcs, you know, we also do like our feet here when we're doing a walk. We have to track the arcs. So the common arc for the feet is where it comes up and then goes down, comes up, goes down. And the arms as well, you got arcs here. So these are all line of actions. And we're not just talking about arcs to do with like the body and the head movement. Like at the bottom here, we got the head movement coming down and then going up, coming down and then going up. That's an arc as well. And then this is for like the hammer. If you're hitting it, it's going to go in a nice arc. That will create more smoother animations for you, because you don't want to do a hammer hit like this and then this keyframe is back here and then the next keyframe is forward, so it's going to go yeah, you want a nice so then you track the arcs, and there's loads of tools in Maya that help you do that. But the other form of arcs, which is really important, is like body arcs like this, the actual arc of the action. Yeah, like this is probably from Street Fighter. If you look at a Dragon Punch, isn't it? You can see how the actual whole wind up and going up following. So a character follows a certain arc as well in the animation, which is so important. And here, this is an amazing example here of the whole body, which is just following an arc. Very simple stuff. It is very simple animation. There's just a lot of principles, but they're very simple to learn, you know, just one at a time. But what it is, when you're animating and you start getting more into animation, you will start thinking about these things as you're animating. So when you animate, I will be doing a walkthrough animation with you, and I was showing you my process of when I animate from start to finish, and how I'm thinking about the hips, how I'm thinking about the poses, how I'm thinking about the silhouettes, the staging, everything. So, you know, when I was talking about crazy arcs, check this out. So this is an arc which is going all over the place, but look, it's nice smooth arcs. There's no sudden like in, out, like that, you see? It's all nice and smooth. Because when you get smooth arcs and all of a sudden there's a thing going down, the eye will spot it straight away. So this normally comes when you plan your animation first. You start polishing, then you just look more on the arcs. You are thinking about them when you're animating as well, but near the end when you polish, you really clean the arcs up. So yeah, these are just examples of arcs. And here as well, the ballerine, this is like the arcs of the arms organically. The wrist, you know, normally you start from the wrist, track the wrist, and that kind of gives you a nice point where you can track everything. So that's more or less arcs. They're very important. Each principle is very important, but this is good for if you definitely want to show strong lines of action and also nice organic movement. Yeah. Secondary action. So secondary action is what follows after your primary action, basically. So your primary action is, for example, she's chopping. This is a good example. She's chopping. She's talking normally here, primary, right? And she's doing it, but she's cutting while she's doing it. So that's more or less in a nutshell a secondary action. Same with the cloak here. It's the same thing. Yeah. And here as well, you got this. This is meant to be an arm. So this is the primary action, this middle bit. Oops, sorry. Primary action is coming back, and then it's coming forward, this round thing. You can see it, this thing. It's going forward first, and this is going back. Now this is going back, this is still going forward. This is going all the way back to the highest point, it's catching up. Now this is moving forward, but this is going backwards, the bottom bit. So that's the secondary action, you see? So this is driving, the primary action is driving everything, these things. And then this is catching up. And then when it gets here, it goes forward, then this settles, and this is still moving, and then it settles, see? So that's what it is. It's like, this stops, and then this carries on, and then comes back. That's the secondary action. That will loosen up your animation, break it up, make it feel more organic and fluid. Timing and spacing. Timing and spacing is so important, you know, and I found a video that explains it so well. I'm going to play it for you, but I'll just give you a brief background. The animator is the actor. So we're essentially actors. An actor's timing, which is based on instinct and personality, is the essence of the art. So all this timing, even comics, you know, they all rely on timing. An animator or an actor, you have to know, as an animator, you have to know when to pause. We were talking about those moving holds, pausing, and then pose for a proper amount of time. You know, you don't want to hold too long to bore the audience, and you don't want to hold too long to kill the timing either, kill the scene. So as an actor, animator, you must learn the values of holding good poses so the audience can read it. They're like, all right, I get what he's saying, you know, and what's going on. So the actor must always decide if they must jump into a hold or ease into it, as we were talking about, easing in, easing out, as well as jumping out or easing out, you know. So these are just principles which you will learn as you go along, you know. I know there's a lot of principles, but they will come, you know, they will come when you start doing it. And this is the video on timing and animation. And let's watch this timing and spacing. It's really, really good. And we'll just check it out. And or you can skip to the next one and check it out. But I really advise you to watch this. Just realized making a quick video here on that timing and spacing video. So timing and spacing, yeah. This one. Just quickly search for this. Oops. Search for this video and just get this advert out the way and watch this video. Just sums everything up about timing and spacing. And once you've done it, it's a 6-minute video. It's not that long, but it's just so simple. Explains timing and spacing so well. And then what we'll do, we'll come back to this lecture, and then we'll talk about it, the timing and spacing, and I'll give you some. I'll show you in the bouncing ball the principles of how to get that working, how timing and spacing, how you can alter spacing in the bouncing ball exercise. You will see all of that. So if you just quickly go watch this on YouTube and then come back to this channel, to this lecture, sorry. All right, I'll see you in a bit. Wait, bye. Oh no, just pause that. So yeah, see, this is like the timing. See that this is the same timing, but the spacing is different. If you look at the bottom here, let's go back here. So look at this. It's all even, yeah. And here you're holding the frames more. So basically, where there's less spacing, less drawings, you get a faster movement. Let's just do down there. And here as well, it's the same example here, which is showing here. So you can see how this ball catches up, but this one gets through the first. And that could be, you know, you could use that for, say, a punch. You know, it goes fast, then it hits. What we got here, timing. So if you look here, constant speed. Each drawing is evenly spaced out. And then you've got timing and slow in, slow out that we were talking about. So you've got more drawings here, and then it goes faster. Yeah, path of action here, as you can see here. And then you can have less drawings here, so it's faster when it takes off, and then it slows down. And then you got here where you got faster when it takes off, then there's a bit of a hang time here, there's more drawings. So you may want to, it may be in a jump where when someone jumps, you might want them to hold a bit here and then he lands, yeah. And same here, you got drawings, you got, you know, like 5 drawings here, spread out 4, and then he eases into this pose here. So he's kind of holding this pose. And you decide in the animations which pose you want to hold and not hold, you know. So that's in essence. Timing is so important. Timing is what will make your animation where people will get it. Because oftentimes when we first graduate, when I graduated, where our animations are all over the place, where it's very floaty, it's very, you know, like moving like this, like very, you know, and that's fine. We all fall victim to that, you know. That's just something we have to learn. It's a learning curve you learn from, you know. Some people are naturally more inclined to good timing. Some people have that. Some people have to work on it. I had to work on it, you know. But you will get it. You keep doing it, it will eventually happen. You will get that sense of timing in your work and that growth in timing and spacing. So just start doing practice and it will come. So don't worry about that. So that's timing. So it's just timing and spacing. And you can use handles in Maya, which we'll talk about, to alter in the graph editor, the timing and spacing, which we will talk about. Exaggeration, number 10. So this one pretty much speaks for itself, but exaggeration is basically, I was always told that when I would do a pose to make it bigger than what you think. Same as timing. If you think something's quick, make it a bit quicker, because you can always like play with it. But with animation, like for exaggeration, if I was to do a pose, my teacher would always say, make the pose even bigger, because then at least you can tone it down then after, which he was right. So then what exaggeration is basically you've got a key pose, one of your golden poses, key poses, storytelling poses, and you're just making it bigger. That's all you're doing. And we've got examples here, like if you look at this, boxing, that's like a normal punch. This is an exaggerated punch, like he's proper going for it. Proper surprise there, you know, his poses are pulled out everywhere. And if you look here, the eyes, there's a little anticipation and then jump up, and there's more exaggeration there. So you're just pushing this pose to this. You're really just pushing it. Here as well, the line of action here. Here you got, you know, you could even push that even more. Classic exaggeration here of the eyes coming out. So with exaggeration, what you're doing simply, you're just pushing your poses a lot more than what you've already got. Just really don't be scared to break the boundaries and really push. So exaggeration is important. Solid posing, which goes back to staging, which we were talking about before. So staging, this is just all about silhouette. So you want to make sure everything's clear, like you're saying, if you're presenting something to you like this, it's not really clear to the camera in the silhouette type. So if you do it like this, because I got all that space behind me, if you can see, it's clear, isn't it? The white background is clear. Here, have this pen, it's clear. So that's in a nutshell staging. You know, that's what it is. It's just solid. In traditional terms, it was solid drawings. And for example, you have these characters here. You know what all of these characters are, right? Just by looking at the silhouettes. You know what this is. Even though these are famous, he's not famous, right? Ballet, you just know what they are. And that's the beauty of great posing. And then again, I'll talk a lot about this, but you have negative spaces here, right? Normally, and when we start off, we close the arm. And then what you find is that it's all blocked. You don't know what it is. Just making a little bit of space in the arm will give the impression, all right, this arm's there. So it makes it really clear here. Perfect examples of negative space. You got an example right here in the tail, negative space. So, you know, there's nice examples here of how to make your poses really clear. And then appeal. The last one is appeal. Now, appeal, this statement more or less by Walt Disney says it itself. Appeal is the pleasing and fascinating quality that makes a person enjoy what they are watching. So it could be a scene that's very memorable. If you make something very memorable and people remember it, you're doing a good job as an animator, because you're on the right track, you know. And the best ways to do that is you can do people do cliche stuff, but the best thing to do is when you go out, always be observant. Always look at people around you. If in a coffee shop, how couples are reacting to each other, you know, if they go on a first date, what have you. And then, you know, you might get a scene from our director that tells you, know what, OP, I want you to do this animation scene we've got of these two characters and they're on their first date. Then you can look back into your library and think, okay, I remember that time I was in Costa or Nero or Starbucks and I saw this couple. And then what you do, you put that stuff into your work, and that's what's going to make your work original. From your own life experiences, drawing out things from your own life experiences, putting it into your work will make you unique. And that's what you want to do. So if you get away from all the cliche stuff, because then you will stand out and you will be different and people will want you because you're original. So they are the 12 animations, principal animations, folks. And we will go on and talk about each one in more detail. And the next video, we'll be going straight into bouncing ball, and we'll get a bit more practical in Maya as well. So you can come do it along with me, because the more you do it with me, the more you will get used to it and the more confident you will get. So we're going to get through this course and we're going to get you up to that level. Yeah. So I'll see you in the next video. See you soon. Hey guys, I hope you found that video of some value, and if you did, please can you like and subscribe and share with people, because the YouTube algorithms likes that kind of stuff and it will help my channel grow. And I want to thank you for all your support, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm working on some stuff at the moment, but you'll have to stay tuned and take care. Happy animating and enjoy animating. Have fun animating. All right, guys, stay safe. See you next time.